Hi everyone! This video is about three-dimensional shapes, and our goal today is to identify the defining attributes of three-dimensional shapes. At the end of our lesson, there's a fun activity that you can do at your house that will help you practice working with three-dimensional shapes. In one of my previous videos, we learned that a defining attribute is something that is always true for that shape. So let's think about some defining attributes of this rectangular prism. All of the outside part, or the skin, of any three-dimensional shape is called the surface. On the rectangular prism, we also have these flat sides that we call a face. Let's see how many faces the rectangular prism has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So because it is a defining attribute, all rectangular prisms have 6 faces. Some three-dimensional shapes also have something that we call an edge. This line right here is one of the edges. Here's another edge and another edge. It's important that we use our math language to talk about the three-dimensional shape, because if we called this a side and we also called this a side, we'd be a little bit confused. So that's why we have the name face and edge. How many edges does the rectangular prism have? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Every rectangular prism has 12 edges. We learned that polygons have something called a vertex, which is a fancy word for corner. But a three-dimensional shape also has a vertex, it just looks a little different. A vertex on a three-dimensional shape is the point where 3 edges meet. Let's see how many vertices the rectangular prism has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another defining attribute of the rectangular prism is that it has 8 vertices. Now let's look at this cube. A cube is a three-dimensional shape that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vertices. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 edges, just like the rectangular prism. And let's see how many faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Also like the rectangular prism. So why are they different? Let's look at the shape of the faces on a cube and a rectangular prism. The rectangular prism has some faces that are shaped like a rectangle, but also shaped like a square. The cube only has faces that are shaped like a square. So that is why the two three-dimensional shapes are a little bit different, even though they have a lot of the same defining attributes. A sphere is another three-dimensional shape that has no vertices. A sphere doesn't even have any faces. It's just a round surface. Let's look at a few more three-dimensional shapes. A pyramid has faces that are different shapes. So we have faces that are the shape of a triangle, and we also have a face that is shaped like a square. A cylinder and a cone both have a curved surface. The cone has a point at the top of it and a surface that is the shape of a circle. The cylinder has two surfaces that are shaped like a circle. Cylinders and spheres are fun to play with because they can roll. Cones can roll a bit too. And now you made it to the fun part. We are going to do a scavenger hunt in our own houses, and we are going to look for three-dimensional shapes that we just talked about. Can you find any of these shapes in your house? I'll show you which ones I found first. I was able to find a cylinder. There's a rectangular prism. I also found a sphere. I found a cube. And I wasn't able to find a pyramid or a cone. Those were a little tricky, but maybe you can. For an extra challenge, when you find the objects at your house, use your math language, such as face, or surface, edge, or vertex, to tell someone at home about the shapes you found. Have fun!